Hey there guys, what's going on? In this best class setups in Modern Warfare series, we're back with another spicy one here today, and I feel like this is an appropriate place to talk about it. Very recently, you may know that the 357 Snakeshot Revolvers took a massive L. A damage rebalance, which is definitely a nerf as I've seen. Fixed a bug where the damage was too high at longer distances, a nerf to be sure. This is truly a dark day, friends, but is it still any good? Well, I've been testing it out for a little bit today, and short answer is, I guess. It's definitely not as good as it used to be, but it's not terrible. Like, they didn't completely dumpster it. This is probably as powerful as it's supposed to be. But anyway, I don't think we can be the akimbo warriors that we could be before. I don't think the weapon has the stopping power or the accuracy when it comes to akimbo, but, and this is a rather large but, I'm still fairly convinced that a single 357 Snakeshot Revolver is still a pretty good sidearm in this game. It does feel a little bit like this is a 357 Revolver fan channel. All I do is make videos about this dumb weapon in Modern Warfare. But just before we do get into talking about the class that we've got here, let's try and get this video to 30 likes. The support from you guys has continued to be excellent recently, but according to this little graph here, about 94% of you watching this video, and that's you I'm talking to right now, you there in the green shirt. I mean, nobody ever wears green shirts except from you, but you aren't subscribed to the channel, so make sure you do click that subscribe button with the notifications turned on so you don't miss any more of these videos. We're really close to 1,500 subscribers now, which is pretty wild, so let's talk about this nerfed 357 class here. So we'll go over our perks, primary, and grenade choices here because they're a little bit different to my usual setups. If you are planning on running this as a primary, which I really don't recommend anymore, it doesn't really have the power to be able to do that, but as you can see, I'm doing that in the background for some reason. You'll definitely want the riot shield to keep you protected from behind and for maximum toxicity. Also, how hilariously dumb is 10v10 shipment? Like, it's basically the only way I could get this gameplay today because of the absolutely dumpster servers. Like, they're so bad. So, that's pretty great. If you are looking to run this as a sidearm, which is still a really powerful option in Modern Warfare, you can really choose to run whichever excellent primary that you want. You can pick a Grau 556, M4, MP7, MP5, whatever you want. Perk 1, you'll typically want to take EOD or Quick Fix just for that explosive resistance from EOD, which I have seen an awful lot of explosives recently, so this is a very powerful option. Or of course, Quick Fix for getting that health regeneration started as soon as you do get a kill, which is particularly powerful with close range shotgun classes. Perk 2, we typically want Ghost to keep us off of those UAVs, heartbeat sensors, and radar drones. This really allows us to be stealthy and flank around of the edges of the map, make it a little bit harder for enemies to spot us, and then you combine this with our third perk, which is of course Tracker, which does allow us to see enemy footsteps while letting us see enemy death markers while hiding the markers of enemies that we do kill. This can be really powerful for a close quarters class when you can just hide around a corner and then kill an enemy, and then the next enemy really won't know that you're there. We usually do rock the C4 in the lethal slot, of course, but all these options are very, very good, and the tactical of choice is usually the stim shot because it's very, very powerful. Right, so we are going to talk about the attachments here, showing them all off so the guys who are just looking for the class setup don't have to wait too long to go shred people. These attachments do make us an absolute melt machine up close. We're not going to be super effective at longer ranges anymore. Like, sort of the one-shot kill range is about 5-ish meters with all these, like, I think it's 5.5 meters with all the decent attachments on, and then sort of outside of those 5.5 meters, you'd be looking at a 2 to 3 shot, 4-shot kill sometimes. So it's not super powerful anymore, but we can do some serious work with this. So in order of appearance that we do have the 357 long barrel, the 1 milliwatt laser, the lightweight trigger, the snake shot of course, and if you are running this as a solo weapon, which like I said, I don't really recommend it anymore, we want the fully loaded perk, and if you are just using this as a secondary, you can definitely choose the stippled grip tape instead of the fully loaded perk. Like, this makes a very good sidearm class in this particular instance here. As I said already, it's definitely worse than it used to be, but it does seem to fit more appropriately into it being an actual secondary weapon. Like, it's not one of the most busted weapons in the game in the secondary slot. So it's something that you can use at close ranges, and that's about it now. If you are dipping out of the video at this stage, I do appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you in the next one. But for the rest of you, we're going to talk about our attachment choices in more detail like we normally do. So starting off with our attachments here, we are looking at the barrel first. In this slot, we do have the 357 long barrel. This is one of those barrel choices for the 357, and we do get the damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Pretty much every weapon in the game would always like to shoot a little bit further, a little bit faster, and be a bit more accurate. Sure, the accuracy boost doesn't really do too much for us here since we are hip firing on our weapon. Well, for the most part, we're hip firing, but if we get those sights up, our tightens our pellet spread so we're more accurate, which I do recommend you do. With the long barrel, we get about a 10 to 15% increase, but again, like I said, our one shot is only about 5 and 5.5 meters, so it's not too far. Outside of that, you'll be looking at a 2-shot, which is not super powerful, but still pretty good as a sidearm. The other options that we can choose here aren't super powerful for us in this particular class. Like, the range bonuses from the Silverfield Ordnance are not as good as the 357 long barrel, so we can't really choose that. And then of course the snub nose, we don't really want the aim down sight because the bullet velocity sort of decreases the way we can kill people. It's not making us as effective as we could be here. We just want the extra range pretty much, and that's why we've chosen the long barrel as the first attachment in this class setup here. Next, we do have the second attachment, and we're going with the laser slot here. In my professional Call of Duty opinion, I think for a primary build, which again, I don't recommend, the 1mW laser is a better option. Whereas for a sidearm setup, you're better off going with the 5mW version. Basically, both of these do give us hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire speed in varying amounts. I feel like if you're going to run the 357 as a primary, you really can't be giving away extra information to the enemy, as you can see in the background. That's what we're using. And again, I don't really recommend this anymore. Call of Duty is a game of information, and every single piece of information that you do give away can get you killed, and vice versa. If you do give away information to the enemy, they're more likely to kill you, and the other way works as well. If they do give away information to you, you're more likely to kill them. Shadows, visible lasers, and stuff like that also falls onto pieces of information that you can't really afford to give away if you are rocking this as a solo weapon. But if you're using this as a sidearm, feel free to run the 5mW option. Basically, you'll only be pulling out the 357 when you're sort of very close range. You need to just pull it out and then kill someone and then switch back over. So for a primary setup, rock the 1mW option, and for use as a sidearm, use the 5mW option. They're both really great lasers, and they can do some pretty serious work with either, and they're great as a second attachment in this class setup here. Next, we do have the trigger slot here, and as usual, we do want the lightweight trigger. With this, we get a rather large boost to our fire rate, which is really important for our follow-up shots, especially if the enemy doesn't die in 1 or 2 shots. We need to be firing as fast as possible most of the time. There isn't really an awful lot else to say about this. Firing more shots is always going to be more powerful than firing less shots. It's pretty simple. With this lightweight trigger, we're able to maximize the amount of shots we can fire with our very powerful pocket shotgun, especially in close range when you sometimes do need to panic to fire more than one shot if you aren't hitting like maximum pellets and stuff like that. So you just got to fire as many shots as you can. It's very simple attachment here. So the lightweight trigger is a very important one to pick up, and that's a great third attachment for us here. Next, we've got the Big Daddy attachment, and the namesake for this class for sure. In the ammo slot, we've got the Snake Shot, and basically this takes the 357 revolver from a pretty decent, if not a little bit unremarkable pistol, and it turns it into a pocket shotgun, which is very, very powerful. Of course, that does give us a boost to our damage radius while reducing our range slightly, well, a little bit more than it used to now. So this is really the attachment that lets us compete up close with other most powerful weapons in the game. You're able to take on people with shotguns and SMGs and assault rifles, but typically only at close range now, especially if you do catch them off guard. This begs the question now, is only one of these pistols more powerful than the Akimbo Renettis? Probably not anymore, and I'll be taking another look at the Akimbo Renettis again soon, so make sure you are subscribed if you do want to see that. This does take a little while to unlock and is one of the later attachments for the weapon. So of course, in the ammunition slot, we've got the Snake Shot, and that's still such a powerful option in this game, particularly as a sidearm here, and that's why we've chosen it as the fourth attachment in this class. And lastly, we do say goodbye to the Akimbo perk, of course, and say hello to Fully Loaded. If we are running this as a primary, we do get more bullets to fire, and having maximum ammo available, if this is your only option, is super strong. Being able to fire more busted shotgun shells from our maximum mobility pistol is obviously a very good idea. However, if you're not as bold or as dumb as I am, you can probably just run this as a regular secondary, which I've been preaching you probably should be doing now, and run the stippled grip tape, of course, just to get that aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. Get those sights up as quickly as you can, which is very, very powerful. Tightens that pellet spread, which I recommend you do pretty often now. It's a very simple trade-off here, and one that depends entirely on the way you do run this weapon. So as I said, if you are running this as a primary, you should probably take Fully Loaded, but again, probably don't do that. And of course, the stippled grip tape if you are just running this as a secondary, which is the much better option now. Pretty simple in our last attachment slot for this 357 setup here. Alrighty, so here is our full setup here with all of our fantastic attachments. The 357 revolver is still a hilarious weapon option in this game. Just having a fairly average pistol turn into one of the best sidearms in the game with a simple sort of ammunition change, making it from a basically single shot to a shotgun is of course really powerful. It's wild that this weapon has been the most busted thing in the game at two separate points. There was a very large gap between them. And despite having been nerfed twice, or at least 3 times now, I believe, there was the original rise during the first double XP weekend ages ago, where this literally was the best weapon in the game. Then people worked it out, and then it was basically a war crime to run this in Warzone. And now it's probably more appropriately balanced. So if you did enjoy this one and you are a little bit sad about the 357 getting nerfed, fear not. If you do still want to run this as a secondary, it is a very powerful weapon. And it did help you out at all shredding people with your pocket shotgun. Make sure you do leave a like and do subscribe if you are new around here. Of course, it really does help me out by letting me know that you are enjoying the content. We did, of course, very recently hit 1,450 subscribers, so 1,500 is right around the corner. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye!